Hi, my name is Cynthia Hamilton, and I am with the Autism Treatment Center. And this is a part of our series that we do called Parent Talk. Today, we are going to be talking about community safety for people with autism. And I'm here with Deputy Rodney Rangel with the Bexar County Sheriff's Department. And he's going to tell us what he is doing within San Antonio and Bexar County to help improve safety for children and adults with autism. So welcome. I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your personal experiences with autism and what you were doing within the department to help train officers and help families in the community.
Okay. Hi. Um, I'm Deputy Rodney Rangel with Bexar County Sheriff's Office. I'm the Autism Liaison. Just to give you a little insight about me, I am a parent of a child with autism, so I understand the behaviors that go along with it. For instance, going to stores, um, going to, being in different areas and stuff like that, and having those kind of different behaviors that we have to um, take care of during that time. Um, I also I've been working with trying to inform officers about autism within the department. I've been getting a lot of information uh, to flag addresses and share some of the stickers to be proactive in the autism community. Um, for instance, the 911 form that will that notify officers, giving them the information that they need in any time that they're being called out to their address.
And I'm going to put a copy of that up on the screen so everyone can see what that looks like and what kind of information is on that. And we have attached a copy in the chat session of this recording. And so it's available along with Deputy Rangel's email address there. But you can see it asks for information about the person with autism and about their characteristics. Are they prone to wonder? Where do they go? Do they like to be near water? Do they have behaviors? Do they have sensory issues? Those kinds of things, so that anyone responding, whether police or emergency personnel, will have more information and know what to expect. But this is just a great resource for our first responders.
Yeah. So with that form, I've dealt with elopement and stuff like that, and a child opens up the door that you think that they're just curious and stuff like that. They open up the door, they take off, and I've had uh, I've experienced 911 calls as they were happening, where children, they'll just take off, or the mom, or they're trying to figure out what happened with that with their child. At that time, I'm pretty sure as a parent you're gonna kind of freak out, but with this form, it's gonna give you all the information that you need. um, that way the officers can be proactive and be like, hey, let's start looking here. This is the information that the parent put um, before this whole situation. Let's go check out those areas and see if we can find them, because I know, for instance, like my son, if he sees a certain store that he's normally used to going, and say if he were to take off, that's one of the places that I would look. And if there's a situation, most parents are just freaking out, we can just look out on that information sheet, and we can go from there, and we can it'll help us out a little bit more
to see where that child is going.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the stickers. Tell us a little bit about the sticker program that you have and how that can help families.
Okay, so we here at the sheriff's office, we ended up coming up with um, stickers that can go on the vehicle or home. This is just trying to be proactive, that if you ever get pulled over, or you're at they arrive to your home, you want to let them know prior to them approaching you from a vehicle or the home. So I have Alzheimer's, deaf, diabetic, and autism. I got the autism one here. I most of the time I always tell parents, because I know some of them, some parents are really private about, my son's on the autism spectrum and things like that. But we want, as law enforcement officers, we really need to know of what we're going to be dealing with, uh, you know, approaching a house or a vehicle or and stuff like that, so we can see those different those identifiers. We got the sticker. Okay, we got the address, the registration form to flag that address. So we got those two things to look off of. We this is the Alzheimer's, and then deaf, and then diabetic.
Well, and these are so important because people with any of those conditions may not communicate or respond in the way that officers are used to people responding to their commands. And so this way that they have an understanding of why that person may not be following their instructions. There is also another resource that's now available in Texas, and that's a communication impediment designation on a driver's license or state ID. And that will also tell an officer if someone's driving and they get pulled over that they may not communicate or respond or may not have the same understand social cues the way that someone else without autism or another condition might. So those are great things that have come about recently within the past few years to help improve the safety for people with autism and other conditions that keep them from communicating in a way that people might expect under those circumstances. And we have put, again, those resources. We did this session live with some families several weeks ago, and we received some questions, and we've put into the chat some of the links to resources that those parents ask about. So we have that one on parent ask, how do you get that communication impediment designation? And there's a link there to tell you where to go and how to get information on that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Tell me a little bit. Now you are doing training now for the other officers with the Bexar County Sheriff's Department, and you've trained and worked with officers in other parts of the state as well. Tell me a little bit about what kind of training you now have and what you are doing to train other officers.
Okay. So in the very, very beginning, I would go and assist with training with my experience that I've had. I spend a lot of time with my son and try to work on the behaviors that he has and things like that. So I've been going to other agencies in different cities, Laredo, and I give them my personal experience that I deal with and how important it is to me for them to know, when they encounter somebody with autism. So it grew from that, assisting and stuff like that. And now I just recently got my basic instructor's certification. So Bexar County Sheriff's Office, they want me to go ahead and create my lesson plan and start giving my personal experience with information about autism all in one, and interactions with people on the autism spectrum. So now I'll be able to actually give them my information, everything that I know that I've learned over assisting other agencies with autism training and my experiences and stuff like that. Now I'm able to give them my true experience inside the jail and outside here in the streets.
So, and you are the official autism liaison for the Bexar County Sheriff's Department, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe you have a new patch
Yes.
that's going on your uniform for that
Yeah,
too.
with this patch, it means a lot to me, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna mean a lot to everybody, and it yeah, it got me a lot of how do you say? It took a lot of work, a lot of work, a lot of a lot of events, and even if I was standing out there by myself, passing out flyers and stickers and doing all that, well, it paid off because now for the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, we now have an autism patch.
So that's great. I love it. I'm proud for all of us that you have received that patch and that that will be out there in the community where everyone can see it. So I think that's just great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got a a policy, and the whole department is it's available to them. Especially the ones that I've talked to closely, and they wouldn't open up. And I didn't even know that they were a father, that they had a child on the autism spectrum. And now, they opened up with me, and I got more and more people opening up and spreading that awareness. And now they actually like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna start wearing this patch to represent awareness and autism for a family member.
That's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. What are some of the resources that you recommend for families? I know often families are in crisis. Maybe their older child is having behaviors and they don't know what to do. And there aren't, to be honest, a lot of resource sometimes for people who get aggressive and their families can't handle it. Tell me, what are some of the resources that you recommend to families when you get those calls?
So over time, I got a lot of information from other organizations, and one of the main things that I've seen is, um, from what I heard, is ACOG. ACOG, they have a crisis intervention, which is within lasts up 72 hours, where they go to your home and they try to solve the behaviors that is going on in the household, which is I believe it consists of ABA therapy.
That's great. And I know one of the resources that a parent talked about it at our other session was Be Safe, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes through training where individuals with autism get to interact with police and have that experience and get to know them. And the officers also get to know the individuals with autism and understand that a little bit. And I have put the link to that website for Be Safe, the movie in the chat section as well, if anyone is interested in looking at that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good training. It came out. That was like my very first event that I had right when the stickers came out. So I was at two places at once. I was at the courthouse, and then I was at the training. And what they do there is they interact with the officers, and they show them all their equipment. And it's going to be a little bit different now because of COVID. But they would check out all their equipment, go outside, of course watch the movie, some clips from Safe, and go outside and see the vehicles before they would go inside the vehicles and actually interact. But because of COVID now, it's a little bit distant and stuff like that, and they turn on the lights for them now.
Maybe we'll get back to that one day soon.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll get back there. So there were a few questions that we got from parents. One was, this was from a mom. She said, in a situation where my son would need to call 911, but has difficulty relaying emergency information to dispatchers, are operators also trained on how to speak to someone on the spectrum? I am asking because in addition to my son's learning disability, he has a low IQ, so some questions are hard for him to understand. And I know dispatchers have certain questions they ask for information that they need to get to relay to the first responders.
Yes. So that's where the 911 form hopefully would come in. Uh, when they pull up that address, it should show the caution notes and everything, all the information that they have there, that there might be somebody that's on the autism spectrum. But another thing with one of my goals is not only to train the police officers, but as give more information to the dispatchers as well, because you have to remember there's in every agency and every, mostly other places, a lot of new people are getting hired. No matter where, no matter where you're at,
Right.
there's a lot of people getting hired. So I would like to, start doing, giving them the training as well. So that way they'll be up to par with all the information that the police officers are getting and they're getting. So that way everybody can be on the same page and work a little bit faster.
So that brings up a question for the training that you do for the officers. I know that when they first come on the force, that they will get that training in their initial training. How often after that do they receive a refresher course in autism?
That would be within it's every year. So
Every year. Okay.
every year they have to go through in service. In service, they'll go to class, and that's where they get all the information they need and other updated courses that they get.
That's great to know, because there is new information that comes out. And if you don't get those refreshers and you don't have interactions with individuals not with autism, or have a chance to get that experience, you won't remember some of those things. So that is really good to know.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of officers that didn't really know what autism was. They've been coming up to me and saying like, "Hey, I don't know how you do it. I have no idea how you do it." He goes, "I had to be with one individual at the hospital, and he was an older adult, and he was just like, I don't know how you do it. I did what you told me. Be patient and, you know, talk with him, a little bit slower, and just give him time." And he goes, "I had no problems." And he goes, "The only issue that he had was sounds, loud sounds.
Mm,
That was it." And I was like, "Yeah, it's, as long as you have patience, you'll be fine."
that's great. One of the questions that came up from families, and I did a little bit of research on this one because we didn't have a ready answer for this. But a mother said, "I have a son with autism, and there are times he needs to use a public restroom, and he's 12. So I can't take him in the ladies' room, and I can't go in the men's room, and that's hard for me." And I found a link, and I have posted that. It was a link that one of the individuals that was on the session with us recommended. And it's from Age of Autism. And it talks about the rules for using a public restroom. And for most of us, that things would seem that we learn by watching others, and they may seem common sense to us. Individuals with autism need to be taught step by step. You can't ever take for granted that they're going to understand "don't talk to a stranger," or don't spend 20 minutes just hanging out washing your hands. They're going to need to be taught certain rules of etiquette in the public restroom. So that was a really good site. It was geared a little bit toward more higher functioning. Another site that I found, it was from a website called Our Crazy Adventures in Autism Land. And this was a woman with a child with autism who solicited responses from other parents about what they did when their children needed to use a public restroom. And they had some pretty interesting things, even as far as one mother would kind of check to see if there was anybody else in the men's room. And then if her child was in there and another adult went in there, she told them before they went in, said, "My son's in there, and if he's not out in 3 minutes, I'm coming in, just be aware." And so they got creative about how they handled those situations. So anyway, I put that resource on there for you to look at as well. Another question that was asked about bracelets. Are there bracelets that could work for our kids or young adults that ID them as being on the spectrum? Now, one of the suggestions was the Alert Me brand of bracelet. They're designed to be difficult for individuals to remove. Had you had any experience with any kind of bracelets or identification, wearable identifications?
No, it was from what I remember, there was one person that had a T-shirt. That was about it. Um, but otherwise, most of the time, I it's very difficult to, see those identifiers. If they have anything like me, I have my my watch, but things like this, I do look out for and stuff like that. Um, but it's good to have something like this, if anything were to happen or any interaction with police officers, it'll give us like a heads up or the reason why, those behaviors are going on and this is what end up happening. But I tell parents to at least be proactive. I know some, like I said, some parents don't really want to uh, expose their children with certain identifiers and they think that they're going to be treated different. um, Honestly, you're just being proactive and trying to save your child just in case if something were to happen. you know um, I try to, like my son, I try to put little identifiers or I have a GPS on him and stuff like that on him, t-shirts or like I said, just the GPS just in case he ends up taking off or for whatever reason.
And that happens sometimes when children are younger. Sometimes they grow out of that, sometimes they don't. So it's helpful to be proactive with that. One of the questions we had, does Bexar County or SAPD, San Antonio Police Department, offer community outreach or programs where families of children with autism can attend to learn the latest information on what is being done to help the community, or in my case, for my son to meet officers and get more comfortable with them? That was from one of the parents that attended the session.
Okay, so that's where the training, the interaction training would come in. That way we can meet the parents, meet the individual with autism, and also the officers will get that interaction as well. But one of the main things is in the training that I'm going to be doing, uh, they will be able to get the interaction with police officers. As they're getting the training, you'll be able to sit with them just like the way they would, for that interaction training with Be Safe. Um, I will try to get everybody in the autism community, to get that interaction with the police officers, as I want them to know to how it is to be in their shoes.
Well, and there are opportunities now as things start opening up and more of the community resources start happening again, resource fairs start happening again, where you can be out there and meet families and interact. It will be a little easier, I think. I know there are places, the autism walks and during Fiesta, there's opportunities for kids, if parents can get them out and take them to some of the smaller events. There's things like Accessibility Fest and Fiesta Special Celebration Day, where families can go, and there's always police officers there that are, many of them have been going to those events for years and are learning through those experiences how to interact or not interact. Sometimes I know at Fiesta Special Celebration Day that officers are told that if there's someone that's having a behavior, unless they're asked to intervene, they're not to intervene. And they're really great about that. They understand that if somebody's just laying on the ground and throwing a fit, people just walk around them, they let them work it out, and everybody goes about their business. So those kind of environments where they get to see firsthand and get comfortable being around people with autism, I think that's really, and understand that they're just people.
Yeah, I've always tried to take, get all the other officers out there to those events, like all the autism walks and stuff like that. Even before I became the autism liaison, like I had everybody. I was like, hey, come on, my son's gonna be out there. Let's go. And then they're like, okay, yeah, when is it? And they'll start, we'll create our own little team and stuff like that. And, just to have them out there, and that way they can get the experience that I have, even though it's going to be like an hour or so. I just want them to understand what it is that I go through, on the daily basis. So that way they can be prepared just in case if they run into an individual with autism, they can be aware of that.
Aware of that. And I have one more resource that I'm going to upload into the chat section, and it's something that the Autism Treatment Center created called How to Be Autism Friendly. And it's got 10 just points, things you can do, from be informed, be understanding, and it goes through all the way through be kind is the very last thing. Now, parents with autism, you don't need this. You understand how to be autism friendly, but it helps you explain to others. And I think it might be a good resource for you to share with the officers as well. It talks about things like be concrete. When you're talking, don't use things like it's raining cats or dogs, or, it's that people with autism may not get the figurative language. And so I will put that up as a resource. Anybody is welcome to share that and use that as well, because we don't want there just to be an Autism Awareness Month. We want autism awareness to go on every day of the year.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking to one of the couple of the other officers. They were like, "Hey, so with this patch, what's gonna happen? Like, you're gonna after the month and that's it?" I was like, honestly, me as a liaison, I think it's gonna be, staying on my uniform as I give trainings in other departments and other cities. Hopefully soon that I'll be going back to Laredo and I believe McAllen. Hopefully once this lesson plan is completed, and I'll be able to share that patch, and hopefully they create their patches and stuff like that.
I was going to say, I'm hoping we see a lot more officers with that autism patch. So,
And I know from what I was they were thinking about, and Laredo as well, is trying to come up with stickers for them as well, stickers and training and stuff like that.
So that's great. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything that you're doing in the community to help individuals with autism and their families.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.